Mazal Tov. Today, the government in Israel agreed to build a new settlement in Binyamin, in Judea and Samaria. The name is Amichai, and this place will be for the people that drove out from their home, Migron, before 1 year. Uri, I think it's a good day for us. What do you think?
It's another bad day. And before I'll get to the fact that you're building, that the Israeli government is building a new settlement, and I know that your regional council is actually saying that Netanyahu is not building enough, as if this is not enough. It's bad also for the citizens of Israel. You know, there's so much inequality in this country. So many people evacuated from their houses because of economical issues. You have so many things that are not being done right here. But when it comes to the settlers, this strong lobby that knows how to push politically Netanyahu, all of a sudden you find the money to build these new settlements that are only making Israel weaker and weaker and undermining the Zionist vision of a Jewish homeland and democracy. And it's a sad day for me. I think it's a sad day for Israel. And I think in order to really have here a strong Israel, you guys need to come back home, to come back to proper Israel, to stop this crazy enterprise that, you know, it's very impressive how much you are committed to it. Really, and that's why I have all the time good conversations with the settlers, because I appreciate your devotion. But I think that the ideology is dangerous to the future of the state of Israel.
It's very interesting that we talk about ISIS, Iran, and Syria, and now we're talking about Migron, because I think that this is the answer, and this is the solution, the real solution to this problem. You know that I was very surprised when European member and congressman from US came to visit in Shomron. I asked myself, why they need to be in my small regional council? And the answer is that they understand that we are the front base for the Western world.
I agree that that's what they think.
Against this, and we must be very strong in Shomron, Binyamin, and Judea, Samaria, Binyamin, and Judea. We must be very strong in the building. This is the one way to be strong.
But in order to be strong, you need to have a consensus. And you don't have a consensus today about what you do there. And I think what we discussed before, the way that Netanyahu and you guys, the settler movement, is trying to impose on us a thing that we regard as something that is actually making Israel commit suicide. I think that's extremely dangerous. I do not think that the settlements are the answer to terror. I'm not sure they're the reason to terror either. I won't say that. I think they're perhaps a reason to have more clash in an area where I need separation. But I do think that this enterprise, and you know, you tried before at the beginning of the show to say
this is human rights, because this is people that throw out from their home.
These are people
they lost their home.
Who knew that they are, as you know very well, as you know yourself, you live there from an ideological motivation.
Right.
You moved there from an ideology. I don't know about you. Maybe your family did.
Of course, yes.
So it's not something that is,
you know,
like people that were evacuated. They were evacuated because this settlement was built on private Palestinian land that the Israeli Supreme Court said it should not be there, and that's why it was evacuated to build it.
But the government sent them to them.
The
government built this
My
place.
problem, I have an ideological debate with you. I have a strong opposition and protest against the government. By the way, all governments,
but
including...
Who elected this government? The people in Israel. So this is the consensus.
By the way,
this is the consensus.
It's one way to look at it.
It's not consensus.
It's one way to look at it. But if you take the Israeli parliament and even the coalition itself, you have their parties that are for a settlement with the Palestinians, who are for a Palestinian state. If you take Lieberman, if you take Kahlon, you have a strong majority to the two-state solution in the Israeli parliament. It's true that the prime minister
is Netanyahu,
and he's against it, but he didn't get 50% or 51% of the Israeli electorate.
He elected by
formed a coalition.
The most of the member in the Knesset.
But still, the Israeli majority is for a Palestinian state next to Israel and for evacuation of settlements. Yeah. And it's
anyway, I'm sure that you're happy that these families will be in their home.
I think that they should be in their home in proper...
And this week we saw the world go bankrupt once again when they allowed the PA, the Palestinian Authority, and their security people, their henchmen, to join Interpol. Interpol is the international powers that are supposed to be taking care of international terrorism, and they've actually brought in the cat to watch the milk. You know what? I thought this was actually very funny. I could imagine them coming into the office, looking on Google, and everyone said, "Oh, there I am." And the next terrorist goes, "Oh, look me up too." This is totally ludicrous. But again, I want to say one thing, by the way. I'm not upset with the world for doing this, because you know who started this? You know who started giving legitimacy to terrorists?
Let me guess. The left wing in Israel, yeah?
You, man. You know why?
Of course.
And I'm going to explain why. In 1993, the left, in their insanity and their idiocy, gave guns to an arch-terrorist named Yasser Arafat.
Yeah, because before that, it was so quiet here. It was heaven, you know. People never got killed by terrorists. It was quiet. No first intifada.
Yariv, first of all, there are statistics. 10 years after Oslo, more people were murdered than 30 years of occupation before. So yes, it was relatively more quiet before your peace process, where you gave Yasser Arafat guns.
Let me remind you that the peace process was stopped also by the right-wing political leader named Netanyahu, by Yigal Amir and others. But let me talk about the Interpol.
No.
Why no? You don't want to talk about the issue?
I'm not going to allow you to say false things.
But you stopped there in Oslo. You're so proud of that.
When Yitzhak Rabin was prime minister, not Netanyahu, more people being murdered in the streets after the second Intifada was started. 30% rise in terrorism after the Oslo Accords compared to 10 years before. You are fabricating facts.
But let me tell you about the Interpol. You know, I heard Netanyahu saying that all the world support Israel, and he went this big trip over five continents in order to show that the world support Israel. Eventually, this was a confidential vote. It was a secret. You don't know who voted for whom. And you see that 77% of the states decided the Palestinians should have their own state. It was about the two states. Because if they are a state, they should be part of the Interpol.
Why do you fabricate
and you know, this is when you are driving.
That wasn't the vote.
When you are driving and you see all the cars coming in front of you, so there is an option that you are going the wrong way and they are going the right way.
Right.
And this is actually what's going on. Israel is going there, but all the world is coming in front of us.
Reality check. Please.
Reality check, please.
It wasn't a vote for the state of Palestine.
It was related for that.
It was not related to it. It's related to allowing them to get into the security.
Actually, as a state, it's another symbol of a state.
Again, why are you fabricating? There was no clause of the state in there. Why are you making up things?
Because this was the outcome of that.
You're giving me your opinion.
So what was about? It was not political?
No, it was
only security?
Again, it was security measures. I think it was a ridiculous decision. But again, I'll say
political decision.
Again, I'll say you started this. When you give terrorist guns, you give terrorist guns, you make believe you're bringing peace. Then Interpol brings the terrorists
was before, and what the government tried to do when we were in power is to try to end the conflict.
So you give guns to Yasser Arafat?
He had guns before, you know. When he was in Lebanon, in Tunis, he was armed, you know.
So let's give Hezbollah more weapons because they have it already.
No, but let's have peace with Jordan. Let's have peace with Egypt. And the peace with Jordan came after the Oslo Agreement. And you know what? You stopped the Oslo Agreement. And maybe if we will continue the Oslo process and having two states, it will be like Israel and Egypt, Israel and Jordan. Not Switzerland, but a new Middle East. But you stop it.
One small problem.
You destroy Oslo. And now you destroy it and you say, oh no, we have terror. You destroy it.
One tiny problem. Number one, you didn't deal with the fact that you gave Arafat guns. You completely ignored that. Number two is...
He had guns before.
So you give him more?
This is not the issue about guns.
It's the issue.
And you know the Palestinian Authority has guns. The Palestinian Authority has guns. I have a question for you.
No.
Palestinian Authority has today guns.
You got to answer my question.
The Palestinian Authority today is helping the Israeli security forces in order to stop terrorist attack. Netanyahu said it.
So again, can I ask you a question? You think it was a smart idea to give Yasser Arafat guns?
Yeah, I think it was. Let me answer.
Yes.
I think it was smart, but it was smart. It wasn't smart to stop the Oslo process and not to lead to a two-state solution.
Were the guns pointed at Israel?
Because you know that Yasser Arafat and also the Palestinian Authority today. Also a terrorist, a leader and a terrorist.
Or was he a peaceful man?
But today we have Abbas, and Abbas is getting guns from Israel. You know that we are still supplying guns to Abbas?
It's a terrible thing.
But he's helping us to stop terror. He's doing more to stop terror than you.
Yariv, first, that's not true.
This is the
23 years of IDF. 23 years of IDF.
You as an idea, you know.
No. You can't throw idiotic things out. 23 years of anti-terror.
I was in the army as well.
Where were you in the army?
Yeah, I was in the... In the West Bank. For
what unit were you in?
Everywhere.
Okay, stop talking.
I was only in the West Bank.
Anti-terror unit for 23 years.
I was guarding settlements.
What unit?
Out.
What unit were you in?
Jordan Valley unit.
What unit were you in?
Nahal it was.
Okay, so do me a favor. Do me a favor, okay?
Bottom line, I'm telling you that today Abbas is working against terror more than the settlers.
Can we go back? That's not true. That's not true.
Because you are encouraging terror when you're doing this price tag and this violent against settlements, against Palestinians.
It's very funny when you lie and you talk over me.
It's not a lie. What a lie.
The settlements have the highest rate of guys to go into the highest units.
Yeah,
you are lying. You are
tag.
Spreading libels about
when
Jews.
Your expansion settlements, when you are taking out Palestinian family out of their houses in East Jerusalem, this is the best incitement. You are giving a prize to terror because Palestinians see it on television and they are feel bad and they have nothing to lose because of you, because you are taking the land and you are doing whatever you like in the West Bank.
So this week, another clash between the Israeli Supreme Court and the Israeli legislator, the Knesset. This time, it's around the compulsory service of Haredi Jews, ultra-Orthodox Jews, to the military. This coalition passed a law that exempting, basically.
It was the last coalition. In other words, it was carried over.
It was another piece of legislation.
Lapid is not in the government anymore, right?
Right. There was a piece of legislation with the last coalition that said that there will be some degree of compulsory service with the Haredi Jews. This coalition, in which the Haredi parties are a strong element, passed a law that basically takes out the sting of the former legislation. Of course, in Israel, there is a compulsory service, a general one. Since the 80s, a massive amount of Haredi Jews.
Well, since 1948, they were.
In 48, there were like a few hundreds. Since the 80s, it's in the tens of thousands who are exempt from service. So there are two issues here. That first of all, that the court repeals a law. And the second is the question itself of service of Haredi.
I definitely agree with you. There are two separate issues here. And I think we might even kind of agree on one of them. I think
not
that...
necessarily.
Maybe not, I don't know. I think that there is a problem here with the relations to the army in terms of the Haredi world, the ultra-Orthodox world. It's not even about not serving, it's about how they relate or how we hear them relate to the army in the news and so on and so forth. I think in that section we might have some common ground there that I think, personally, I served, my son's now going to the first draft. I'm proud to serve. In other words, I don't get, hey, if you're not serving, I'm not. I'm proud to serve. I think they're missing a tremendous opportunity. But that being said, there is a certain weight on our shoulders, those who go to the army, putting ourselves in danger. And, in Ben Gurion, when he first made it in 1948, there were 400 students. And it's now over 60,000, I believe. The problem is, like everything else in Israel, it wasn't taken care of. It was never, the Knesset never took care of it. And so the problem now is, it went out of the political realm and into the Supreme Court. Now, this is a much bigger picture because the Supreme Court, over the last couple of years, has really stepped on the Knesset a little bit. The Knesset stepped on the Supreme Court a lot, and there's really no checks and balances. And I think it's a very dangerous, situation. But I just want to say that, for example, in 1975, Aaron Barak, who was, again, in the Supreme Court, now went against his ruling back then, who said they're not going to rule on this issue.
Former, Chief of Justice. Who really influenced the Israeli...
He said in 1975, we're not going to pass judgment on this because it's a political issue. And now... it's coming flip-flopped. So there are two different, issues really here to discuss.
Here, what I think. First of all, I believe that the court in our constitutional system, without a constitution, does have, in the minute that the Knesset said that there can be illegal or non-constitutional laws, the Supreme Court is the place where you should be, who has the ability to say that laws are against our constitutional principles. It's not a perfect solution because we should have had a constitution, but as long as we don't have it, we have constitutional legislation, and therefore the Supreme Court should have this power.
Well, the problem is the Supreme Court is not an elected body. This is where the problem really stems from. So they're dictating to the legislative branch, which is elected.
Yeah, but the Supreme Court in the United States is not elected either.
No, they're chosen by the president.
By the president. Here, it's a combination in Israel between the legislator, the Knesset, the government, the
Supreme Court has the veto.
And they don't have, the Supreme everybody Court has a veto.
No. The Supreme Court, they have I think it's 7 judges or 6 judges.
No, there are 3 judges.
But I'm saying the court system itself with the judges and the lawyers, they have the veto who's chosen.
The lawyers don't necessarily go with
you need a majority of 7.
We don't. I just wanted to in this specific context. I think what the court had to cancel this law because this law basically its stated goal was to increase the equality in service in the IDF, but in de facto, the actual steps that the law created made a separation between the Haredi Jews, basically exempting them from service. Now, I personally think that Haredi Jews, if they don't want to, should not be obligated to serve. I think that it should be an individual decision by each Haredi Jew. Basically, what we have with women, that if a woman feels that her religious lifestyle prevents her from serving, it can be also applied to men. I don't see the big difference. And there is a difference between the two genders here, which creates another inequality that the court didn't.
Well, there's another major inequality which we're not mentioning is the Arabs
right?
don't have to serve at all, and that's really we're talking about deepening racism. That is deepening racism.
Although they are not part of the they don't even get the how do you call it, the draft itself.
Draft. Okay, so I'm saying that has to be changed. If we're talking about equality,
perhaps, but it's not part of the law.
If we're talking about equality, then you got to have equality. You can't say, well, you know, the Haredim have to be equal to this, but the Arabs can be off. That's
as
not
I said,
equality.
I don't even say that they have to be equal. I think the Haredi lifestyle would find. Let's put it this way: in order to preserve the IDF as it is now, if tens of thousands of Haredis would serve, it would be a totally different IDF. And I'm not sure that the Haredi Jew that would enter the IDF as it is now would leave it in the same. So we have a new proposal by MK Bezalel Smotrich from the National Union Party and the Jewish Home Party. He suggests that Palestinians would be willing to leave their homes and to immigrate out of the West Bank would be getting money from the State of Israel in order to promote their immigration. Now, I believe first that this is a stupid stupid suggestion.
Because when it's for Jews, it's a smart suggestion.
Jews were brought there by their government.
Right.
And the government can take them out. By the way,
so that's not stupid.
Compensation, they can be getting compensation on the value of their homes and so on and so forth.
Okay.
But not getting bribe in order to leave their homes. Neither to Jews nor to Arabs.
It's not a bribe.
But it won't work. No one will do that. But it just shows just how disgraceful. No, that's not a word. Condescending Mr. Smotrich is towards the Palestinians, the way he sees them. Palestinians are native to the West Bank.
They are not native.
They are native to the West Bank.
Incorrect.
They are native to the West Bank.
They were brought in to build a Turkish
Israel
railroad.
is militarily occupying them. By doing so, it's jeopardizing its own existence as a national Jewish homeland and a democracy. Another provocation by Smotrich. He got us to talk about it. Of course, very problematic. And as with Smotrich, with racist elements.
Okay, so now let me give you the facts, since you said they won't go and it's not fair. 20,000 Palestinians leave Judea and Samaria every single year.
Of course, because
that's a number. One second. So they say they won't go, they will go. Number two, polls show that about 30% of PA Arabs would like to move out of the country. And that's, again, it's a survey published in July by the Palestinian Center for Police Survey Research, not Israel. So the fact you're saying they won't go is not true.
One second. Hold on. Jews don't immigrate from Israel?
1 second. Let me give you the facts first, because you said it's not real, it's not going to happen. The polls show 100%. According to the survey, 47% of Gaza Arabs would emigrate from the Strip if they had the means to do so, while 23% of PA residents in Judea and Samaria said they would live elsewhere if they were furnished with the means. Which means to me, they are willing to go, number one. Now, this is not about racism. This is about a problem we have in Judea and Samaria. I don't know why the left is really forced about calling it the West Bank when this is a word used by the Arabs when they try to justify destroying Israel. The Palestinians, the whole identity was a fabricated identity made in 1964. Why? They're Arabs, and they live in Judea and Samaria, and what he's saying is, we don't want to go to war anymore.
Right.
It's 1 second, let me finish. It's not going to work. What we will do is we will help those who want to emigrate. We'll help you. What is the problem with that?
I understand correct.
What's the problem with that?
I understand completely why Smotrich is trying to do
that.
No.
What's the problem?
He's trying to do that because even Bezalel Smotrich can't ignore the fact that if you are annexing the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, whatever you want to call it,
now whatever,
you are annexing it with 3.5 million Palestinians that would get Israeli citizenship, and that would be the end of Israel as a Jewish state.
What he's saying,
or it will cease to be a democracy if we won't give them the right to vote. So he's trying to make like magic to make them go away. They're not getting anywhere. They're going to be there, and you cannot ignore that. And that's a failure of the Smotrich, of the right wing vision on the future of Israel.
Meanwhile, we're winning we're winning 11 consecutive years of elections, so I guess we're not failing. But again, your facts are incorrect. What Smotrich said is the following: his plan also includes a provision offering Israeli residency to the Arabs in Judea and Samaria who accept Israel's sovereignty.
But and
then full citizenship would also be available to those Arabs who are willing to enlist into the IDF.
Why don't you?
Hold on 1 second.
Hold on.
Let me just finish.
What about all Orthodox Jews? They don't serve.
Good question. We'll talk about that next time. But right now, what happened was you made statements which were not true.
What are we, Eritrea?
No.
You have to serve in the military in order to get citizenship.
First of all, we're talking about a people who are brought up in an area that see the destruction of Israel as something valuable.
Right, and
yes,
you
have to prove your loyalty to the country, otherwise you don't get citizenship.
But you want them with us. We want to separate from them.
Again, well, the funny thing is when the right said that they're over in Jordan, we're here in Shalom, and everyone will have peace.
But they're not in Jordan. They're there. They're your next door neighbors. You live in a territory that is predominantly Palestinian.
Okay, you done? Again, it's Arab, first of all, but we're not going to go into that. But I'm saying to it, you can laugh all you want. You're laughing, it doesn't help facts. It's historical facts. They're Arabs. The Palestinian name in 1964.
Arab Palestinians.
There is nothing.
Palestinian
There is nothing pre-1948 that was Arab Palestinian. Zero. I can give you many things that were Palestinian Jewish. But we're not going to go into that right now. The point is right now...
Before 48, there was no Israeli.
That's true. That's true. So you just admitted to me that I'm right.
So hold on. You're an American or
No, I'm Jewish. I'm Jewish.
Okay, so you're Jewish. You're not Israeli. That's exactly what Abbas says, by the way. That's a problem.
No, Abbas will not accept the Jewish state. You're making up things as we go along. Abbas says, I will not recognize a Jewish state. You can't keep on making up these things. But again, I'm Jewish, and my only right to this country, by the way, is the fact that I'm Jewish. That's all it is. Israel comes from the name of Israel.
And what about the non-Jews who are here?
The non-Jews who are here, like the Druze and the Christians who are loyal to Israel, have a wonderful life.
What do you mean loyal to Israel?
Loyal to the state of Israel as the Jewish democratic
the only
state.
country in the history that made loyalty as a precondition to citizenship and revoked citizenship was Germany in the 1930s.
United States of America.
Loyalty